when people used to really seriously bump from behind when they were, to really put people off. And that was the idea of behind the bumper. But I think there's still room for a better way of doing it, but I'm not sure what it
You're
is.
You're using your platform to speak for the drivers
absolutely,
here, aren't you, Chris?
absolutely.
Quite rightly, as you should. Now, I hope you're going to be able to stay with me for this mini rock, or you're going to have to leave?
I'm probably going to have to leave now. I need to get ready for my heat.
Well, Chris, many thanks indeed. We look forward to seeing you in action in your heat, which will be the final heats we have before we take a very short lunch break. But I'm going to enjoy this mini rock 12-lap heat because they gave us plenty of thrills and spills in the qualifying. Timothy Mihailov of Russia qualifying in P1. You can see there, that's kart 36, Jacob Ethan Lauter of the United States of America. Provisionally P7. Nice wave to the camera from Tayo Vlegin of Thailand. Like the thumbs up there from the Russian, Ivan Tugolyov. And that's kart 9, Conrad Garrow of Australia. Been given some last minute instructions. So the Mini Rock 12-lap heat about to get underway. And what's been a very exciting day's karting so far here at the opening round of the 2020 Rok Cup Singapore. You're watching live on the One Play Sports Network as the hooter goes off and out come the karts. Couple of pushes being needed. A reminder, this Singapore 2020 series, round 1 today, obviously. Round 2 is the 1st of March. Round 3 is in Sepang in April, and round 5 back here in Singapore in May, or round 4 I should say, back here in Singapore in May, and round 5 again here in July. You have, of course, the Asia groups to consider as well. All in all, 8 races in this 2020 Rok Cup in Asia as we have a look at the starting grid in the Mini Rock and Mini Little Races series. Max Hollmann of Germany. Will start from 12th. These karts, of course, slightly different spec to the karts we've seen in our other groups. These are 60cc, 10 horsepower Vortex engines. And the minimum weight requirement for these karts, 110 kilograms, which takes some doing, bearing in mind how little some of these guys are. But they may be very little, but they are also very, very fast. It's a moving start here after the formation lap, so we're almost good for action. So the rolling start is about to come into effect as they all jockey for final positions here. Oh, there was a bit of a coming together at the front. That's not a bumper that's been impacted. I think it was on the right of the grid there. I feared for a minute that Nicholas Stati had gone into the back of the kart in front of him, which was Timothy of Russia. But they are moving, they are racing, and they are good to go. As an expectant crowd of friends, family, and general fans pick up this heat in the Mini Rock and Mini Little Rockers category. And away they go through the first turn now. Timothy Mihailov. Did he manage to maintain that position early on the inside line? It's very close between the two of them. I'm not entirely sure that Timothy wasn't taken over there. Well, interesting. Did Quahar Furhand manage to get by there? We'll find out very shortly as they get through the first sector. But it certainly looked for me that it wasn't a foregone conclusion that Timothy had managed to hold on to top spot as Max Hollmann brings up the rear. There's a yellow flag out here as well. So clearly an issue as they slow right down. And Timothy does indeed look to be in front. But Quahar Furhand, look at them there, going wheel to wheel, and I'm not entirely Sure that Timothy did hold on to top spot there. Of course, no overtaking allowed during the yellow flag, and they're closing right up here. So this is all going to be about timing, because when that green flag waves and they're good to go, look at the two of them here. This is going to be a battle royale, you fancy, between Indonesia's Quara Furhand, who's in cart 7 on the far side of shot, as you see there in the orange suit, and in the white suit, the Russian Timothy Mihailov on the left of shot. And they're good to go, and it is Quara Furhand who does take over at the start of this 12-lap heat. He's usurped the Russian early. So it's going to be Indonesia in 1, Russia in 2, and there's a fierce battle going on for 3rd as well, which may yet impact Timothy Mihailov, who's not had a great start to this heat. Green flag continues to flow in the breeze, and it's a green flag that's given Quara Furhand an advantage here, and with lots of open space in front, can he try and open up on the chasing Timothy Mihailov, who qualified in P1, remember, but at the moment is having to make do with 2nd spot. I think there's sort of a bit of debris on the track there. I hope they clear that. Something was fluttering in the breeze. But he can't get close to him at the moment, Timothy Mihailov. Now, this is part of a wider plan. It was a slight bit of oversteer, I thought, there briefly from Quara Furhand and his cart, but no real damage done, and he still leads after the first lap. It's Quara 1, Timothy 2, Emiliano of Singapore in 3, Nicholas in 4, Tushuat of Thailand in 5, and Dylan of UG Motorsports in Singapore in 6. Well, a 2-second gap. That looks an extraordinary time. I can't believe that. No, it's not 2 seconds. It's 0.4 seconds. I thought that graphic was a little bit wonky. So 0.4 seconds, but now Timothy is really closing up, and he's got to fight him off here, Quara Furhand, somehow, because in this battle for first, there's 1,000th of a second between them, and he is really now putting the pressure on Quara Furhand, this Russian, and as the qualifying times expected, it looks like it's set to be a battle royale between these two. Emiliano is a further half second back in 3rd. He's certainly close enough, if good enough, as now the Russian tries to take the lead, gets it back momentarily and manages to keep out Quara there into that turn. Wonderful driving from the Russian, but Quara, you feel, may still have more to give here. A brilliant manoeuvre from kart 25, Timothy Mihailov, who's regained top spot here. And Quara Furhand now finds himself a quarter of a second down in 2nd, but chomping at his heels. And you can see Quara there just looking behind him momentarily. I think he's conscious there's a gaggle of drivers, 6 of them in fact, who are still very much in this contest. The top 5 separated by not very much at all, but having managed to regain the lead after losing top spot right after the start of the race, Timothy Mihailov has regained control of proceedings here, but he will know the skills that Quara Furhand has shown on the track today mean that he simply cannot afford any mistakes, and that gap is staying steady at the moment at a quarter of a second. Back in 3rd, Emiliano is just about to start to join this party, you fancy. Emiliano Cyrus of Autonic Racing in Singapore. Gap just opening up now from Timothy, and Quara, if anything, is now going to find himself under a bit of pressure from Emiliano. The gap between Timothy and Quara is bigger than the gap between Quara and Emiliano at the moment, and that tells you all you need to know. Quara Furhand did lead, but now he's got company in the battle for 2nd, and 3 of them pursued by Nicholas in 4th spot, Tushuat of Thailand in 5th, and Dylan in 6th. All 6 of those drivers, realistically, you fancy, still might think they're a podium chance here. Certainly wanting to secure positions for the pre-final and final. Quara closing back up on Timothy through that 5th lap. Still 7 to go. Best lap of the race, timed by Timothy Mikhailov, 50.492. And I wouldn't mind wagering these boys and the girl, of course. Katrina C, down in P11 at the moment. Timothy Mikhailov is opening up now. Quara Furhand at this point will be more worried about the battle for second than he will the battle for first, you fancy. Although having said that, every time I write him off, he seems to close up that gap once more. Might just be the middle sectors where Timothy is getting the better of it, because there's nothing between them at all through the first sector. Well, there's been never more than half a second between them throughout the first half of the race. But now you can really see Emiliano is piling on the pressure to Quara. He seems to be able to do that down the home straight every time. At the moment, Quara Furhand has had the answers, but the pressure will continue to come. But it's in this first sector of the track where he tries to close up again on Timothy Mikhailov, who goes faster still and is really now beginning to open up daylight between himself and not just Quara, the rest of the field. Top 6 places, but it's a sign of a great driver that Timothy Mikhailov had that issue on the first lap when the yellow flags came out and he lost the lead to Quara, but took it back almost instantly after the restart and has not really been troubled since. And Timothy now is really piling it on. Over half a second in front of Quara. Emiliano's going for a run in the inside of Quara, and he's going to take him, I think. Well, he pushed him very wide. But Emiliano, I think, has managed to secure that move to take second spot. Now then, what happened to poor old Quara Furhand there? He did seem to go very wide. Now, where has he dropped down to? He's dropped all the way down to 4th. So that bold move from Emiliano Cyrus, who did appear to have the racing room and line to do that, has been a huge disaster for Quara Furhand, who's gone from 2nd to 4th. And remember, he led the race in the first lap. So Timothy Mikhailov, all that drama has allowed him to open up a near second advantage now with just 3 laps to go. Emiliano, with that bold piece of driving, pushing the limits to the extreme, you fancy, securing him second spot. And Nicholas was a beneficiary from that as well, because having gone so wide, Quara Furhand has had to succumb to a 3-spot drop down to 4th. So it's Timothy 1, Emiliano 2, Nicholas 3, Quara 4. And I wonder if the Thai driver is going to try and compound the misery for Quara now to see if he can close up. Oh, 86 and 75 coming together there. Emiliano and Nicholas battling it out for second and third. I think they touched wheels momentarily. Oh, it's disaster for Quara. He's now down to 6. The Thai was putting the pressure on, and he managed to take him, and so did Dylan. So Quara Furhand, only a little rocker, remember, have to make that clear as well. So it's a stunning drive wherever he does from here to even manage to lead this race at Sunbird, having qualified in P2. But it's a learning curve when you go up to the age groups. And Quara Furhand, don't write him off just yet. You know, he's proved that he's got the times in the locker to still be competitive with the pre-final and final still to come. But Timothy Mikhailov is proving himself at the moment a class apart in this mini rockers category. Emilio Cyrus with better track position when we get through to the pre-final and final. I wonder if he'll fancy himself a chance to run him close. He's surely too far behind to get near him at the moment, and he's worrying about the battle to hold on to second spot, because Nicolas Stati, the Australian, is right up his backside looking to try and steal second from him. On to the last lap they go. It's going to be a masterful drive from Timothy Mihailov, who recovered from adversity and the yellow flag in the first lap to claim this heat quite comfortably in the end by over a second. A good drive as well from Emilio, whose bold move 4 laps from home to overtake Quarat has put him into second, and unfortunately for Quarat, seen him slump through the field. Nicholas for third, the tie, Tushiwat in fourth, Dylan in 5, Jacob in 6. But it sets itself up very nicely for our pre-final and final to come over 16 and, or I should say 14 and 16 laps respectively. But make no mistake about it, Timothy Mihailov is going to be the driver to beat. Stand by. Following very shortly, we will have our KF1 GP GP50 heats over 12 laps before a lunch break of an hour, and we'll return live after these KF1 GP GP50 heat race for the Expert GP, Junior GP and Senior GP heats. It's coming up to 11:45 here in the morning local time in Singapore. You're watching live pictures on One Play from the Kranji KF1 racetrack as Timothy Mikhailov, 10 minutes 10 seconds, takes it out for Russia and DRM. Emiliano Cyrus with that big move, the Singaporean getting the better of Quarat Furhan, the little rocker who went from second to sixth inside 3 laps, still or seventh I should say, second to seventh his final position, but still a good drive from the young Indonesian. And Katrina E, the only female in the field, the Malaysian Katrina E, congratulations to her on her 11th place finish, getting the better of 3 of the boys. So, can anyone get the better of Timothy Mihailov in the pre-final and final? We'll find out a little later on. The timings for you. The Mini Rock pre-final was scheduled for 1:51 this afternoon local time, and the Mini Rock final 3:44 p.m. local time. We're going straight back into action now with the heat of KF1 GP GP50. Before our lunch break, the